What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. My name's Quantum, and today we're going to be reviewing the TCL R646. Now, I'm not going to waste any of your time, and if you like that kind of thing, maybe subscribe, join the journey, and smack a like on the video because we're getting to the point right now. Essentially, it's a really good TV for $950 for the 55-inch that I did review. It's got a lot of high points. HDR is one of those things that, of course, is broken. There is no industry standard for it, so there's no way to calibrate for it. I ran into a lot of washed out looking HDR when gaming, and there was almost very little that I could do to kind of juice it up because it just doesn't give you all the calibration tools that you would have in regular modes. So that's one of the things that I really didn't like about this TV. Another thing that I found to be kind of like a dull moment is the fact that, as many of you guys have requested, I did test and did check to see, and no, you cannot use VRR with Dolby Vision gaming. So if you're an Xbox Series X gamer and you were looking for those features, it's not going to be there, sorry to say. Now, it's not to say that everything's all bad. This is probably one of the best TVs I've seen in a very long time for black levels. The black levels are really deep, extremely inky, and honestly speaking, if you didn't want to take the risk for OLED, this poses an extremely strong proposition value. Whether you're playing first-person shooters or action-driven story modes, I mean, really, the experience is going to be nothing short of exceptional with the black levels. I noticed nearly no bloom at all. I mean, very minimal, if any, at all. And I think that is one of the hugest things that anyone in this price range could take away. Because typically with LEDs, you're going to run into some faint blooming and things like that. And these black levels were scary deep. To be very clear, not even the Hisense U8G, which is almost the next immediate direct competitor of this TV, could even produce black levels quite as deep as this. And that is saying something given how incredibly inky it is. It's not to say Hisense is bad, but they definitely have more blooming than this TV, and this TV is showing up hardcore with the black levels. But that's not where the party stops. You have incredible clarity. I think this was the most shocking TV I've ever reviewed on an LED side of things when we're talking about clarity. Clarity was so similar to what we would get on an OLED that I really had to kind of double take a couple of times because the clarity, the isolation was so pure. I found myself just kind of being taken back by it. Now, there are some things, again, that aren't really ideal, and again, that's the menu interface. It's very clunky. You have to go and hit settings to get to another settings menu which is separate from the picture menu, and it's just too convoluted, too cluttered, and it's not easy to really dive in and out of the menus and get what you want as fast as some other TVs. Another thing is, if you're trying to set up HDMI 2.1, that's not straightforward either. It's not under picture menu where it resides on almost every other TV on the market. It has its own separate setting, and that's going to be found under the input section, the channel and input sections. Most people are not going to look there. So that's something that you're going to have to be aware of. Now, I have a video showing how you get around that and how you find it and set it up, but it is a process, and I think that's something that's going to slow a lot of people down. Now, when we're talking about speakers and things like that, it's not really going to make a difference. If you are an audiophile, you probably have a sound system already, so I'm not going to waste too much time talking about that aspect of it. What I will say, though, is sound is acceptable enough for what it is, but it is still pretty tinny as well, so don't expect anything fantastic in that regard. Now, if you're somebody who's worried about motion, I am so very pleased to tell you they got motion right. Motion is probably one of the smoothest I've seen this year, even though it has a couple little jitters and shakes here and there, depending on what you're watching. The motion processing was so refined. I found myself just kind of sitting there wow, I'm really enjoying this right now. It was very smooth, and it was almost on par with the LG C1. That's saying a lot. That is saying so much because the C1 is the best TV this year for motion. There is nothing like it, and I truly believe we won't see a TV as close to the C1 with motion for the next 5 years easy because of how good its motion is. So to see the TCL come this close and honestly really drop my jaw with motion was really nice. Now, one thing that's not great about motion, though, is if you go and do what most the GP, general public, are going to do. Get your TV, take it out of the box, run the default settings, and just play in game mode because you're playing a video game. You're not thinking about how you're gaming. You don't care. You want the lowest latency, even though you're playing Uncharted Remastered on PS5, along with all the other remasters that they're making. You know what I mean? I mean, either way, I just had to troll a little bit. Don't hate. You know, it's annoying for me. I get annoyed with Sony with their remastering. But I'll digress and just say that if you're playing one of those story-driven games and you're just in game mode all the time, you're gonna see a lot of the jitters because this TV does not defeat 24p jitter like you would hope, and it's not something that any manufacturer really is great at. So not really to nitpick on TCL, but it is something that you will notice. So again, if you don't want motion jitters, don't game in game mode. Use something like low power movie mode and just tune those up to get a really nice picture and then smooth out the motion that way, because that's what I've been doing and I've been having a ball with this TV. So my experience might be very different from somebody else. You might read that the motion is horrible if you game in game mode, because the game mode jitters are very real and very apparent, and I'm not going to lie to you about that. But again, use your motion processing feature and you'll be just fine. Now, another aspect of this TV that a lot of people wanted to know about is dirty screen effect. TCL is notoriously bad when you talk about dirty screen effect. I mean, pretty damn bad, dude. Like, last year was not as bad as the year before, but they have always kind of struggled with this like weird, like you can see each individual LED like nonsense, and that's not here on this particular unit that I reviewed, and I'm so happy about that because that was one of the things holding this TV back from being truly fantastic, or at least this TV series being the TCL 6 series. And I can tell you right now, with the new TCL 6 series, you are getting a lot for the money. I love the chrome, I love the design kind of brought back from last year because I like the design, but it is lazy, so I will say that it's a lazy kind of copy and paste design. They're not doing much in that aspect. But picture quality wise, I feel like there is a notable, exceptional enhancement forward from last year for sure. I'm not really feeling the Google TV thing. That came bundled with the forced terms of service, as you guys know. So if you're not okay with complying to everything Google wants to push onto you, you're just kind of going to have to box up and take it back. And you know, it's one of those things where if you are not the compliant type and you don't like somebody telling you what to do, you are going to have to take the TV back, because the authoritarian nature of Google is you will comply. There is no opt-out and use offline, even though voice control features are not mandatory for offline users. If you're never going to use it, I just don't understand why they keep doing that. It just makes no sense. It ruins the experience. They should take a page from LG. They have voice control features too. And listen, if you want to use it, you're going to have to accept some of the terms of service. Otherwise, you can stay offline, and it's a plug-and-play experience. Everybody loves that kind of thing, so I really hope TCL listens to this message and fixes that at the very least. Now, all in all, I think it's exceptional. Gaming, the input lag was incredibly low. I got 13.5 milliseconds. That didn't hold for very long, and then it pretty much dropped down or went up to the 14 millisecond input lag mark. So either way, it's a very responsive TV in game mode, so gamers will be happy. You only have two HDMI 2.1 ports, so that's something that you are going to have to weigh up. So if you need all four, then maybe this isn't the TV for you. But I think honestly this year TCL nailed it. They went out really just trying to gun for the top position for the budget market, and I think they really have a compelling argument to make, making even TVs like Samsung's QN90A look like a joke. Now, I'll put this out there for anyone who may have watched another reviewer out there say that the TCL just is okay and maybe has some blooming compared to the Samsung. These things change from unit to unit. So if you run with a unit that is defective or maybe has some blooming issues, exchange it. The nature of this TV is so good. Its deep, inky black levels, I cannot stress to you, are so good it really almost removes the need for OLED to exist if it weren't for the viewing angles, because the peak brightness is impressive. And honestly, my whole impact from just experiencing this on PS5, Xbox Series X, and everything I've played on this thing and seen on this thing is just like, this is a damn good TV. And I think, like, if you're somebody that doesn't want to break the bank, or you're like me, you truly don't believe TVs are worth more than $1,000. Like, that is way too much for a freaking TV. What does it do? Does it cook and clean? No. You know, it's one of those things. If you're like that, then this is going to be a great TV for you. I'm so glad to finally be able to give an endorsement on a TCL TV. I highly recommend it, and I think it's something you guys should check out. If you guys have questions for me, ask me in the comment section down below. I'll do what I can to help you out. And if you want to talk to me directly, make sure you stop on over at thequantumtvblog.com, and I'll be able to answer your questions directly, and we'll have conversations there. That being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty and lending me your ear. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.